Hello. I'm tanning some more. Getting healing on my back. Feels so good. So today Yah sent me to 1 Samuel and 17. And I was living like Daniel's heart here because he said, I like this when he was like, oh, okay, so it was in 17, it says the armies of the Israelites and the Philistines prepare to fight. And it says, now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle and were gathered together at Shochoh, belongeth to Judah, and pitched between Soko and Azekah in Ephes Damim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah, set the battles in array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on the mountain on one side. Oh God, I have to pull my pants up. All right. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, and there was like a valley between them. I see that a lot in visions. Oh, I'm so happy the clouds are out today. Oh. Okay, anyway, I'm not going to be distracted. Toby, don't distract me. Shush. I know. Dang it. Can my hair just like be agreeable? Be agreeable. Be reasonable. Hey, I'm representing today, just so you know. Oh wait, I can't do that right now because I'm actually going to post this online. I'm going to post this, maybe, I don't know. Alright, anyway, can you stop getting freaking sidetracked? Okay, so the Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, who was 6 cubits and span. And he had a helmet of brass upon his head, and was armed with a coat of mail. And the weight of his coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron. And one bearing a shield went before him. And he stood and he cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, why are you come out to set your battle in array? Am not I Philistine, and you servants of Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me and to kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. Ho, ho, ho. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard those words from the Philistine, they were dismayed, and they were afraid. Shame, shame. Okay. And then David defeats Goliath. Now David was the son of the Ephrathite Bethlehem, Judah. Name was Jesse, and he had 8 sons, and a man went among them from an old man in the days of Saul. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of these sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, the second was Abinab, and third was Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. But David went and returned from Saul's to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. But David and the Philistine drew near morning and evening, and presented himself 40 days. So that's significant. Verse 17. And Jesse said to David his son, Take now your brethren an ephah of parched corn and 10 loaves, and run them to the camp of your brethren, and carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their thousands, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. Now Saul and they and all the men of Israel went into the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. And David rose up early in the morning, and left the sheep with the keeper, and took and went, as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to fight, and shouted for the battle. For Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, ran into the army, and came and saluted his brethren. And he talked with them, and said, Behold, there came up a champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words. And David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled, and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, Have you seen the man that is coming up? Surely to defy Israel he's come up. And it shall be that that man who kills him, and the king will enrich him with great riches, and give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. So that was all the blessings they were promised, but they were all scared by the looks and the vanity of just the sheer essence of this giant, Goliath. And so they were judging. I guess I'm thinking about judging by vanity, judging by looks, how our flesh judges, or lust and the pride of the lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life are so dynamically different from the spiritual realm, or just like where Daniel's heart or David's heart was here, because they're like, oh yeah, because for riches and women and all that stuff men will die for, right? But Israel got afraid merely at the vanity of forgetting the promises that Yah had promised that they would endure, when he promised them the covenant with them. And but it was always on David's heart, like not the riches, not the father's house. But listen, okay, this was his spirit. And David spoke to the men that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that kills the Philistine? Like, what? Okay, well, that's great, but what will happen if I kill the Philistine or whoever, and takes away this reproach from Israel? So first of all, his intention was how to take away the reproach from Israel, more than it was the riches and fame and the money and everything and all the women. And for who is this uncircumcised Philistine? Okay, I love this spirit right here. And David spake to the men that stood upon him, by him, What shall be done to the man that kills the Philistine, and takes away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of God? Like, look at him. I mean, this guy is going to defy the armies of God? Like, no. And he's just a kid. And that is a excellent spirit, in my opinion. And the people answered him after the manner, saying, So shall it be done to the man that kills him. And Eliab his eldest brother heard when he spake unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, Why did you come here? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your pride and the naughtiness of your heart, for you are come down that you might see the battle. And David was like, no, he was walking in obedience, remember, to go feed his brethren. And David said, What have I now to do? What have I now done? Is there not a cause? Which was the prophecy of when Yeshua was like, what is the cause? When he went up to be judged in the courts of the Romans. And that was basically it's relative to that. Anyway. So they thought, the leaders were like, why is David just here being naughty? And David's like, no. Is there not a cause? Now what have I done? And he turned from him another and spake the same manner, and the people answered him again with former manner. And when the words were heard which David spoke, they rehearsed them before Saul and sent for him. And David said to Saul, Let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, You are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are but a youth, and this is a man of war from his youth. And David said to Saul, your servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and I smote him, and I delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slay him. Your servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he has defied the armies of the living God. Yes. David said, moreover, Yah, that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of the Philistine. And Saul said to David, go, and Yah be with you. I love that spirit. It's so good. So David had experienced that his relationship alone, even in the wilderness, with keeping the sheep, with obedience, with walking by his memory of word and knowing and understanding in his heart, so knit to Yah's, and that spirit of like taking over, just being a king, was also proving how with the bear and the lion here, like the paw of the lion, when I was delivered out of the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear, as he was continually delivered from institutions of death and in orders of death and all. So that's foretelling as well. Anyway. Okay, so here we go. And Saul armed David with his armor and put on a helmet of brass upon his head, and he armed him with the coat of mail. And David girded up his sword upon his armor, and he was ready to go. He essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said to Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them all off, because he was not an actual soldier. And the Philistine came on. So he took off his staff on his head and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in the shepherd's bag, which he had, even in a scrip, in his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistines came on and drew near to David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistines looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth and ruddy and fair countenance. And the Philistine said to David, am I a dog, that you come to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give thy flesh to the fowls of the air and the beasts of the fields. Then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to you in the name of Yahweh, hosts of Elohim, of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. So that was the charge against him. David's like, what have I done? But look what you've done. This day will Yah deliver. This day will Yah deliver me Yah will deliver you into my hand, and I will smite you and take your head from you, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, to the wild beasts of the earth, and that all the earth may know that there is a Creator Elohim in Israel. And all his assembly shall know that Yah saves not with sword and spear, for the battle is Yah's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistines arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army and met the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag, took thence a stone and sling, and smote the Philistine in the forehead. And that stone sunk in his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with the sling and the stone, and smote the Philistine, slew him, and there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, took his sword, drew it out, slew him, cut off his head, and the Philistines saw their champion was dead, and they ran away. Okay, I love that. And that's where I'm going to end it. But I just love that. That's our king. Okay. Yes. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for enjoying the word with me and the sun. And I'll be praying for y'all, for everyone, okay? And is there not a cause? And I've been thinking about so much. Okay, I'm going to talk about that later though. But yeah, I'm excited for this time. This is the time of the tribe of Judah to arise in the power and the steed of the blood. And God just keeps reinforcing that. Like, the last 2 days have been thinking about the threshing floor. Like, this is the threshing floor. This is our time to be threshing it out with the angels. They're threshing it out too. It's a great harvest. And the wheat and the tares. So the wheat are getting put in bundles, neatly hid in the ready for the barn, ready for the offering, the harvest bundles. And the tares are getting harvested for the fire. So, you know, there's that ever valley between us. So we were all on that one side of the valley, and be it left or right, you know, more left, I would say, but the left would be so. And then there's the balance, which is the world, the balance in the center, balance of the world. And then there's like the shepherding, or like taking the path that is, you know, following the shepherd which will lead us and take us to the highways and lift us up from where we are into highways. Like, it's going to be miracles that deliver us and deliver our brethren and deliver our families. And the hosts of heavens right now, they're just warring, you know. So, and David, what I loved about David is, like, every man in their armies, they trust in their weapons of warfare and all of their trade and the souls of men. They have lacked faith and even have wanted to deny God so far out of their conscience and their existence, you know, so that they can become gods and then they can overcome him and with their war, you know, with their war. But nevertheless, David refused to take on any of that steeds and what it represented. Like, he would probably not be respected if he wore warfare of the warriors that had, you know, trained, but instead had wanted to go the light route and just be free and trust in his ability and his practice and his art and his ability just to be a fine, smooth shot against a giant who was head to toe covered in metal protection. And still David's found that sweet spot. You know what I mean? So nice. All right, take care. God bless, and God bless you always in Yeshua's name.